I don't know if there's 30 publications, A, left, and B, interested.
Well, actually, I think that's the reality of everyone's world right now, unless you want to hang out on Zoom. You know, it's a lot more comfortable to hang out in a hotel room and at least have water handy. And
it makes you feel like you're cool, you know?
Sure.
This is
absolutely
fine. I like my couch, but, you know, if I was at, like, last time we did a junket, it was at the Drake in, like, 2014. And I was like, I don't know, I've been doing a lot of interviews. I'm going to get a beer. And it didn't feel, you know, degenerate or anything. But if I got a beer out of my fridge at 1 o'clock right now, I'd be like, I'm at my house.
It feels too weird.
It's just a little more, you know, plus everything I do is on the exact same fucking screen.
Here?
Sure. Hi.
There he is.
Did this work?
It did work.
Yeah. All right. Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, that's probably true. Not that I would judge you for having a beer, by all means, but you know,
I gotta walk to our storage space after this. I can't drink a beer and then walk 9 round trip kilometers. I'll collapse. I'm too old.
I mean, it's kind of snowy outside. Are you in Toronto?
I am, yeah.
Okay, Josh, are you in Toronto?
But I have good boots.
I am not. I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, LA.
It will never snow on Josh again.
Yeah. Oh man, that's nice. I was gonna say I'm more glamorous because I'm in Hamilton, which is easily more glamorous than LA, but it's neither here nor there.
It is literally neither here nor there.
Oh yes, very literally.
But we love Hamilton. We love Hamilton, don't we, folks?
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time to talk to me. I feel like I should start by saying that I'm Siobhan. I realize that my name is at the bottom of the screen, but it's a bit of a weird spelling, so I like to tell people so it's less awkward.
One of the many things I feel like, one of the few things I feel like I've accomplished in the intervening decade between Champ and now is that I have learned how to pronounce Siobhan.
And the Siobhan, whoever you met like previous to me, has done the groundwork for me, so I appreciate that.
Yes, the legendary Siobhan.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a club.
You know, what can I say? I'm very dim.
You get corrected once and then it sticks. You're like, yep, I will not make that mistake again.
It's a great name. Not to blow smoke. It's a great name. It's a delight. You're like, I didn't know it would sound like that. That's so fun to say and look at.
I feel like, well, thank you, number one. I feel like it's like a bit of an alphabet soup situation where it's just a bunch of letters crammed together.
Well, it's like Gaelic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different branch of the same tree there, but for the grace of random fate, go we.
Is what I always say about my name. Is like that exactly.
Yeah, that's
on the business
that's
card.
what we came here to talk about, right?
So I start every show, actually. Not for nothing. I do love talking about the origin of my name. I do. But I really need to talk about the origin of Champ. You see that?
Yes.
Just dive in. That was massive.
Perfect segue. Then we lampshaded it and ruined it, but still.
But for real, like, you guys, 10 years, a decade since Champ has come out. A lot has changed in the world, more specifically in the last year, but, a lot has gone on in a decade, I'm sure, in the band and in the world and everything. So I want to kind of go back into that headspace. Let's take you back there. What do you remember?
Let's do it.
How do you romanticize? What do you remember specifically about that time with Champ, whether in the recording process, in the studio, on the road, or what are some of your favorite memories?
Well, I feel like I'm reliving it in the order that we did it. So leading up to this, I put together a video for the $100 Day, this new old song, out of all the video or a bunch of video we took back then. While we were in the studio, while we were in Los Angeles, sort of running around, making the album and then having, doing extracurriculars, shall we say. And so I spent like a week really immersed in that recording world. And now it feels like the release day all over again. Touring might have to wait. But so mostly I've been remembering recording it in Los Angeles, which was like the first time we ever hung out there for any extended period of time. And was... Go on.
I was going to say, I was just thinking about how we actually started the record in New York, and it was a fun time. But thinking back to it, we were all in because we didn't have any money, so we were all in these student dorms over summer, And I think we all had our own, so it was very isolated, and you know, we'd have to walk to the studio on our own and then meet up with everyone. And then we ended up tossing that version of the record and went to LA to work with Rob, and we all stayed in the same house, and it was a much more communal, like being around each other, and the energy of recording every single day instead of going back to your, you know, small tiny room to watch whatever on your laptop, was such a big breath of fresh air. And then also being in LA, like Graham says, for an extended period of time, really, it was the first real experience with the city, and it was wonderful to just get to spend time there.
Yeah, I was thinking last night about, I remember when we were making the plan to go record in LA, we were all like, oh God, do we have to? Can we do this in like Toronto or anywhere? Like, we'd been to LA only on tour, and being in LA for a day at a time is a really bad way to experience it because you spend most of it sitting in traffic. We were like, LA sucks. I don't want to hang out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
like,
by the end of
By
the end of the 3 months recording, we were like, oh yeah, this rules.
Yeah.
Let's all move to LA. We didn't, but yeah.
Spend all our money on Nerf guns.
Which is a reasonable investment, I mean, for any band.
Mm-hmm.
So Graham, you said that you actually put that music video together, am I correct?
Yeah.
So Josh, what was it like for you to see the finished product and see that video come together?
It was cool, and it made me it opened my eyes to how much somebody was always recording back then. I'm sure there's a lot of footage that didn't make it. And that's it's really cool to have. Yeah, it was a big hit of nostalgia, and to have video evidence of it was just really, really special. Not at all in the same way, but I just finally watched the Amy Winehouse documentary, and
yes.
It's really cool how much footage they have from everywhere. And the same thing with the Last Dance and the Jordan, like just having that kind of footage from the moment and then being able to see it later is incredible. And I'm sure there were many times, you know, where we were like, well, we need the space on a hard drive, so do we really need all this footage? Probably not. To get rid of it. So on the off chance that it makes it through and makes it into a video like $100 day, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. You know, you don't see it as something that you're purposefully, intentionally archiving in that moment. You know, you're just doing it. I just spoke to Sarah Quinn of Tegan and Sarah, and they just released a video sort of in the same vein, because it was all retrospective and stuff from their high school years. And it's just bananas, the amount of archival video that they had and that you have. And it turns out sort of that we all had, especially at a time where like we didn't all have cameras on our phones. And it's sort of bizarre because when I just watched the music video for that too, it got sent to me today, and it's a great music video, and it immediately made me feel nostalgic for an experience that I was not there for a time that I didn't have with you guys, you know, and it was really wonderful. And it was mostly, you know, like the haircuts and the shirts and the feeling and the sound of that song that really it's such a beautiful nostalgic experience. So I can't imagine what it would be like for you guys combing through that stuff.
Well, it's funny to hear you say that. It's one of those sort of periodic reminders about what we do, that it's like, for me and for the four of us, that's our nostalgia. That's like looking back at our effectively like our college years that we, you know, we didn't have real college years. So this is what we did instead. And it's so funny that we like just send our home videos out to like thousands of people, and we're like, look, have nostalgia for us. Look at us have fun with each other. You like this. And people are like, I do like this. It's true.
Because, you know, Tokyo Police Club was often the soundtrack for the things that we were doing at that time. So even though it's a song that we didn't know, it's still of a time period that we know really well, and that's just sounds inherently familiar to us. You know, so it's hard to not be nostalgic, but it's true. I kind of felt like an idiot. I was like, I wasn't there. Why do I feel this way?
but that's bands at the end of the day. That's like part of anyone's relationship, whatever parasocial relationship we all have with the art that we like.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, I don't know those people, but that's kind of the point. If they do a good job, then I know the version of them that they put out there, and that kind of counts.
Yeah. So then let me ask you this, you know, the fact is that was a really great song. Why didn't it make the cut the first time?
I literally have no recollection.
Yeah, Graham, I just read the blurb that was in the press release, and I completely agree with it, where I have no idea. I don't remember the conversation that led up to it being cut. I'm sure it was very in depth, as all of our conversations as a band are,
Oh my
with
God.
pros and cons weighed out for 2 hours. But I remembered too that Frankenstein was also going to be cut, and then was the last minute addition. But yeah, I could not remember for the
Yeah.
life of me what the conversation was around $100 Day. But
We were
it's having its moment.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, album sequencing is always a really intense process. And I think every band that I've talked to at least goes through it intensely. And it's always seems silly in retrospect, because then you know, 2 years go by and you're like, well, the album is just what the album is. And people experience it the way you like. You could just throw it in a boggle and shuffle it. And people be like, great, that sequencing is the album. This is what it is to me. And it feels so concrete. It feels so solid. Even if like the day before you had to send it in, you had no idea what it was going to be. So I try to sweat it a lot less now, because I don't think it's worth it. But then we do a new album and I get all caught up in it again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I heard this track and I was watching the music videos and I was like, $100 Day just was clearly like a single. To me, it just feels that way. And now it is.
Now it is. And the most astonishing thing, I guess, because 10 years ago, content, like the bottomless pit that you have to just constantly shovel stuff into in order to maintain relevance, was not as bottomless back then.
Yeah.
Because it's incredible that 10 years passed and we had a finished, mixed, completed song and we didn't use it. It didn't come out on a B-side. It didn't come out on the Japanese release of the CD, which used to be a thing when CDs were.
Absolutely.
It just sat,
or just
and
a lyric
and
video,
waited.
Now.
Anything. Yeah. I mean, and I'm so glad we kept our powder dry, because, it's great to be able to give it its moment to shine at long last.
Yeah. And so am I right in that this is the first time Champ is going to be on vinyl?
No, it's been through a couple of incarnations on vinyl, but it's been out of print for how long, Josh?
The good part of about a year. I think there are still a few copies here and there, but yeah, it's been pressed maybe three or four times, but wasn't really in stock for a while. This is the first really fun colored version we've done. I think there was a red one before. But no, it's just it's a slight retweak on the artwork and the inner sleeve and everything. And then the first time that $100 Day, obviously, and Bambi Acoustic is on vinyl, which used to just be on the deluxe version for DSPs, but we liked it enough that we wanted to give it its moment to be the B-side to the new single.
I also, the artwork in particular, we commissioned this British art collective called Nuvu to build this whole installation, and went back and forth. And, it was easily the biggest production we've ever done for artwork. And then smacked a big diamond right in the middle of it. And that was what the album artwork always was. And we always had these gorgeous, giant, high-res pictures of the thing. So this is the first time in, I think, any format, there's actually just been a picture of the installation they built with nothing obscuring it, no band name, no nothing. And frankly, I think that deserves a moment in the sun too.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the band name and the diamond got put on it because, when it's a tiny little square on iTunes or whatever, you need to be able to see the artist, was the argument at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, if you're listening to the song, I don't know if you need to know the artist. You probably do. So let's show them the cool picture that people worked on. And, the name can be just off to the right.
So are you ever thinking about, like, now that this is celebrating a 10-year anniversary, do you think that you will, make a big deal of the next anniversary that comes back? And I really mean that to say that, like, are you fond of, looking back in your career, or are you more interested in looking forward, or is there room for both?
I hope there's room for both, because I really like looking back now. I feel like I'm old enough and I've done enough hours of therapy that I'm like, I can now enjoy the past as like the things, it's all parts of me. It's bred in the bone, But there's also, when I was younger, I certainly always perceived, like, when a band put out a greatest hits album, I always kind of felt like, oh, okay, so you're sort of like tying a bow on it. That's sort of the end of that. And not that we're putting out a greatest hits album, but the obviously the danger in starting to look back, you know, at this point we can have an anniversary every 2 years, basically, of 10 year, 15 year, whatever. And if you start doing that too much, I don't want to become known only as a band that's sort of like doing an ever tightening circle. Cause I think our last record, which is, you know, celebrating its 2 year anniversary now, is really good and kind of like some of our best work still. And I think that, you know, we have plenty more really kick-ass new records to make. And I have no problem with people being like, I like the early stuff better. And I have no problem with going down memory lane, but I want the people who might give those new albums a chance to give them a chance and not just be like, well, you know, they're just touring, doing a all force field set. And then the new album is sort of also at the merch table, almost like, you know, the way you see some older bands will like, you'll go see Paul McCartney and he'll play 3 hours of Beatles hits and then sort of apologetically, you know, sort of like under his breath, play the one new single and then get back to the classics and everyone goes and gets a beer. And that's Paul McCartney, but you don't want to end up like that.
Yeah.
Not this young anyway.
I think the reverse of that is Neil Young, who I don't know if it's the last time or if you've ever seen Neil Young, where he just unapologetically only plays new stuff and it does not care at all and plays exactly the set list that he wants to play, and everyone's like, all right.
Or like Dylan, who's like, I'll play the hits, but you're not going to recognize them.
Yeah, because I'm going to mumble the entire time.
Yeah, I play piano now. Leave me alone. It's cool. He is a restless artist. He will never be satisfied. I like comfort more than those guys, I think. I'm not a genius, so I don't mind basking a bit in past glories.
So this is my question then, I think, to kind of wrap this up, is that you have clearly learned so much. A decade has passed. If you could give that version of the band, not even just yourself, the band, a bit of advice from this current version of yourself, what advice would you give? For that time, I think mine would just be it sounds cheesy, but just to enjoy it, because as Graham said earlier, back in those times we had, you know, we were complaining about going out to LA and trying to, you know, find a way to do it closer to home that was comfortable. And eventually we did end up enjoying it, but I'm sure there are many other experiences that are just kind of lost to the sands of time for me that I would love to have actually gotten the full shake out of it. So yeah, that's what I would say to past me.
Yeah, I would only add, and I think this is probably something that any 33-year-old would tell their 23-year-old self, band or not, just focus on the journey over the destination. You know, if it's not all about like the brass ring, just have fun doing the thing you're doing.
That's great. That's great advice. Perfect.
No one would follow. I wouldn't follow it though. If I materialized in front of my 23-year-old self and said that, I'd be like, shut up, old man. We're going to have a hit.
Get my way, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As somebody who's also 33,
youth.
I would be very upset by that information. I'd be like, why are you talking like that? I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, because
I know how to
nobody
enjoy
takes advice. Exactly. Yeah. And we wouldn't be here had we not gone through all that. And Champ wouldn't be what it was had we not, whatever mistakes we made, whatever good choices we made, whatever digressions we took, they all led us to this moment. And so how could I really ever want to change any of that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. So I mean, obviously you guys are releasing this. It's right in time for the holidays, which is perfect. It's not exactly a stocking stuffer given its size, but you see what I'm saying. What are the plans for the New Year's?
Well, we're going to keep an eye on the news.
Yes. I mean, from inside your home, obviously.
Our negotiations with Pfizer to include 2 doses of coronavirus vaccine with every Champ pre-order are ongoing, but you know, no guarantees yet. I mean, we'll do gigs as soon as we can. I have spreadsheets full of potential tour dates just waiting to be announced. But I mean, you don't want to jump the gun and then just have to reschedule and so on and so forth.
Yes, absolutely.
As soon as it's safe, we'll be back in everyone's face. We promise.
Perfect. Or at least like 6 feet away from everybody's face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a stage is always, it's really them that's close to each other is the problem.
That's true. I'll be back at the merch table. That's where I hang out.
Perfect. We'll just bring some plexiglass shields in the van. There's
very intimate. Very intimate. That's amazing.
What's
You guys,
not to
thank you
like?
so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And have an excellent new year and holidays and Festivus and everything.
You too.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much for
Siobhan.
having us.
Bye.
All right. Talk to you sometime.
Bye.
Stay
In the
safe.
real world one day.